Project Big Bird is brought to you by the letter B and by the number 6.
Wah, 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 wah.
What is up, Speezinators? I'm your host, Nathan Spees, and welcome to episode 3 of Project Big Bird. This episode we will be doing the head and beak. Now you may have already noticed that we're doing a voiceover for this part, just because my voice was pretty sore when I recorded this, so I didn't want to do too much talking. So yeah, but we're first going to start by cutting the head off the Big Bird costume. And then, that way it's easier to work on it. Here's what I look like with the head off. Very spooky. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to replace the beak on the current costume and build a new beak that looks more like the Big Bird that is on the show. You can see his beak is much different than the beak on the actual costume. So we're going to replace that by cutting it off. And yeah, I'll see you when I get that done. Alright, so I cut the beak off. And I also went ahead and cut off the white fur on the top of his head. And I covered that with yellow fabric. And then we're going to cover that with feathers. I'm going to put some white feathers on there just to make it look like his white feathers on the top of his head. And we're also going to cut out where the beak is. So yeah, we're going to cut out where the beak is, just so I have a spot for my hand. Alright, so this is what it looks like when I have the feathers added. I just used a couple of the white feathers. And I also went ahead and cut open the spot where the beak is going to go, because that's where my hand's going to go to puppeteer the mouth. I also went ahead and added a little area so that I can put the 3 feathers that stick up on the top of his head. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So here's what I look like. I know there's 4 here, but there's actually only 3. So I ended up taking just 1. I took 1 away, so yeah, there's 3. We're going to stick that on the top of his head. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. I put the 3 feathers on the top of his head. I used pipe cleaners, and I just glued the feathers on top, and there's the cardboard inside. And yeah, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to work on the beak. So as you can see in this reference picture, Big Bird's beak is much longer and much thinner than the beak that was originally on the costume. So this is what I have so far. It's just 2 sheets of foam. And so I'm going to take a marker and I'm going to draw out the outline of the beak. One's going to be a little bit longer than the other one, but that's accurate to his show design. Alright, so this is what I was talking about. They kind of look like surfboards. Yeah, one's bigger than the other one. And I also went ahead and drew on where his mouth is going to go. Like I put the inside where the tongue's going to go. And so it's basically going to attach like this. Although I had to make it a little bit shorter. Or a little bit thinner, actually. Just so it would actually fit in the face. Because the other one was way too wide. So, then what we're going to do is we're going to be adding some cardboard onto the mouth areas. And then we're going to build up the rest of the beak with foam and stuffing. And then we're going to add red fabric to the mouth. You know, just because why not? Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a break from the voiceover, just so I can show you what I've done with the mouth. So this is what the beak looks like. I even added the tongue in there. And yeah, it works really good. And yeah. La 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 la. So, ow. Now we're going to get to the fun part. Adding the fabric onto the beak. We're also going to add a little bit of stuffing to smooth out the top of the beak. And then tomorrow we will do the eyes. So I'll see you then. Alright, so here's what the beak looks like when I covered it with fabric and I went ahead and attached it to the head. It's actually a little bit harder to move now that it's attached to the head, but you can still move it easily. Yeah, it is a little bit wrinkled, but that's not too bad. And then here's what the inside looks like. Looks like the inside of an old McDonald's, with all the red, white, and yellow. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the styrofoam balls and we're going to make his eyes. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to cut the bottoms off, and I'm going to cut the backs off, just so that they're able to attach to the head easier. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a break from the voiceover part, just so I can show you guys the styrofoam balls. So, what I did was I cut off the bottoms, and I cut off the backs, just so they look like this. I don't know if you can see that. But I also went ahead and drew on the pupils, just so I know where Big Bird's pupils are going to be. So now we're going to get to the fun part, which is going to be adding the fabric eyes, fabric pupils, and the fabric eyelids. Now, unfortunately, even though I said in the supply list video we were going to do a blinking mechanism, we're actually not going to be able to do a blinking mechanism for Big Bird. Because of the way the mechanism I had planned for Big Bird, which was the same mechanism I used for Garfield, it's not actually going to work for Big Bird, and I also don't know what his blinking mechanism looks like in the show. So, for the purpose of this project, we're not going to do a blinking mechanism. So, you can take that wire coat hanger, forget about it. So we're just going to add the fabric onto the styrofoam, just so that he looks like he has eyelids, but they won't actually move. So I'll see you when I get that done. Here's what he looks like, all complete. I put his eyes on, I added the details. Yeah, he does look a little bit creepy, but it's not that bad looking. It's a lot better than what he originally looked like, I'll tell you that. Alright, so now what we're going to do is, you see all this exposed foam at the bottom of his head? We're going to cover that up with fabric, and then I'm going to cover that fabric with some feathers, just so that it matches with the rest of the body. So I'll see you when I get that done. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, I attached fabric, and then I added some feathers. And yeah. Overall, it looks really, really good, and now the head is officially complete. Alright guys, so this is the official ending of Project Big Bird Episode 3. The head is completely done. All I have to do now is figure out a way to attach it to the body. So yeah. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in Episode 4 for Project Big Bird. Bye-bye!